Hello, hello, and welcome to Story Nori. You're listening to Jana, and I'm back with our first story of the new year 2025. I had a very good Christmas with family and friends, and I hope you did too. I can tell you that the mice at the seaside cafe had a very nibblesome Christmas. They stuffed themselves with leftovers from the bin in the kitchen, including Brussels sprouts, Christmas pudding, and roast potatoes. Nothing goes to waste in a cafe when you have a family of mice living under the floorboards. Ooh, perish the thought. But the pickings in January are not so rich. Most of the humans have had enough of celebrating and overeating, and would just like to spend the evenings indoors with hot cocoa and a hot water bottle, especially as the heating is so expensive these days.
"When's the next party?"
asked Henry Mouse, just a week after New Year.
"You don't have to wait long, Henry,"
Judith Mouse told him.
"The Chinese will be celebrating their own New Year soon. It's going to be the year of the dragon."
This part of the story happened at the start of 2024, by the way, but I'll bring it up to date soon.
"Year of the dragon?"
exclaimed Henry.
"We'll all have to hide, because dragons are really scary." "Not so,"
Judith said firmly.
"The Chinese believe that dragons bring good luck. That's why they dress up as dragons, do dragon dances in the street, and make lots of noise banging drums and shouting. They are always very happy when it's Chinese New Year, whichever animal they are celebrating." "But what about food?"
asked Henry, his tummy rumbling.
"Oh, the food!"
Judith sighed dreamily.
"Imagine dumplings, noodles, and sweet sesame balls. Perfect for mice. Have you ever tried feasting on Chinese food then?"
asked Henry.
"Sadly, no,"
replied Judith.
"but I'd like to. I've heard so much about Chinese food being simply superb. Sounds really yummy. I can't wait for Chinese New Year, even if they do have dragons,"
said Henry. That evening, under the floorboards of the seaside cafe, a grand meeting of the mice commenced. Grandpa Mouse, sitting on an upturned bottle cap, banged a rusty teaspoon to call for silence.
"Now we all know January isn't the easiest month for us. The humans aren't celebrating, the bins are emptier, and frankly, I'm tired of nibbling on cold Brussels sprouts."
A wave of squeaks swept through the crowd. Replied the mice, which, as everyone knows, is how mice say, "Here, here."
"Judith told me it will soon be Chinese New Year,"
piped up Henry Mouse, bouncing on his paws with excitement.
"She said there'll be all sorts of yummy food."
Grandpa Mouse sighed.
So true. But unfortunately, our cafe isn't Chinese. They serve British cuisine like sausage and egg in the morning and toasted tea cakes in the afternoon. Delicious, yes, but lately the customers are fewer, and that new waiter is far too keen on sweeping up and mopping."
"Oh, shame!"
chorused the mice.
"Oh, I know!"
shrieked Rodina Mouse suddenly, waving her tail.
"I heard some customers say there's a new Chinese restaurant in the town square. They say the food is amazing."
"Excellent,"
declared Grandpa Mouse, his whiskers twitching with newfound determination.
"This calls for a mission. And Jimmy, This mission has your name on it. It's dangerous, requires nerves of steel, and unwavering courage.
Jimmy gulped.
But, Grandpa, I don't know why you think I've got nerves of steel. When I'm frightened, my legs turn to jelly.
Then Judith will go with you.
Grandpa continued, ignoring Jimmy's protests.
8 paws are better than 4.
I'll help choose the food,
Judith said eagerly.
Very good. Now off you go, and remember, if you return with bags of Chinese tuck, we'll all be jolly grateful.
Enter the Chinese restaurant. Later that night, Jimmy and Judith set out for the Chinese restaurant in the town square. The streets were dark and quiet, the glow of red lanterns guiding their way. As they crept closer, a delicious aroma wafted through the air. Ginger, garlic, and something sweet and smoky. When they slipped inside through a crack by the door, the smell hit them full force. It was heavenly. There were steaming trays of dumplings, glistening noodles, and a pot of soup bubbling gently on the stove. Judith's nose twitched.
Oh, Jimmy, this is paradise.
But before Jimmy could respond, 2 shadows loomed over them. Startled, they looked up and saw 2 sleek Chinese mice staring them down. Their black fur gleamed in the dim light, and their eyes were sharp and scary. One of them spoke in a language that Jimmy and Judith didn't understand.
欢迎来到我们的餐厅。
Judith stepped forward, bowing slightly.
We're visitors,
She said nervously.
We heard your food is wonderful.
The second mouse beckoned for them to follow, speaking rapidly in Chinese. They led Jimmy and Judith toward the kitchen, where the smells were even more enticing. There were piles of rice, stacks of dumplings, and rows of glistening roasted duck hanging from the ceiling. Judith's eyes sparkled with delight.
They want to show us the kitchen.
She whispered to Jimmy.
I think we're being treated as honoured guests.
But Jimmy was less convinced. His legs trembled as he muttered.
Oh, I don't know, Judith. They seem too stern, too quiet. What if they're kung fu mice?
Kung fu mice? Judith whispered, raising an eyebrow.
Yeah, I heard some kids at the cafe talking about them once. Chinese mice who are masters of fighting. What if this is a trap?
Judith hesitated. The 2 Chinese mice stood waiting. Before she could decide, Jimmy bolted.
Wait!
Judith squeaked, but Jimmy was already halfway back through the crack in the door. She turned to the Chinese mice, bowing again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. He's just a little shy.
Judith scurried after Jimmy, her heart sinking. When she finally caught up with him outside, he was panting.
I told you, Judith, Chinese fighting mice are dangerous. We were lucky to escape.
Judith frowned.
I think they were just trying to show us their food. But maybe you're right. Anyway, let's go home before a cat spots us.
The 2 of them returned to the cafe, their mission incomplete. As they squeezed back through the skirting board, Grandpa Mouse was waiting.
Well, what did you bring us for Chinese New Year?
Nothing this time,
Judith admitted, feeling ashamed.
Well, Jimmy, next time you'd better go on your own. When there's danger around, You don't want any flim-flammy hangers-on.
Grandpa, I've tried to tell you before. I'm not as brave as you think.
Modesty will get you nowhere, Jimmy. Don't talk yourself down, boy.
Jimmy looked at Judith, embarrassed.
It's okay, she said. We'll try again next year.
Now the story so far is all a little bit out of date. As I speak, we are coming to the end of the year of the dragon. The year of the snake is on the horizon. I can tell you that over the past 12 months or so, Judith has been intriguing everyone with a mysterious life. She has disappeared every night for at least a couple of hours. What does she do in the evenings, one might ask? Some mice think she has a secret boyfriend, but whatever the truth is, it's a big secret. Well, here we are again, living with cold, wet and grey English skies. At the end of January 2025, the year of the snake is going to begin. I say going to, but perhaps you are listening sometime in the future, and it's already the year of the snake, or even another Chinese year. So as I regale this story, the year of the snake is in the near future. That's the mystery of time for you. Jimmy was hoping that Grandpa Mouse had forgotten all about Chinese food and Chinese New Year. But even though he was very old for a mouse, Grandpa still had a super sharp memory.
Last year, Jimmy, you had a very unusual slip-up and let the side down. I hope you're going to make up for it this year, Jimmy, and bring us lots of scrumptious Chinese food to celebrate the new year.
Yes, Grandpa. I suppose so.
Suppose so? I know so. Now off you go, Jimmy, and if you don't find any Chinese prawn crackers, don't bother coming back.
The return to the Chinese restaurant. The streets were dark and quiet as Jimmy and Judith approached the Chinese restaurant once more. Red lanterns swayed in the wind, their soft glow painting the snow-dusted pavement with warmth.
I hope we don't meet any kung fu mice,
Jimmy muttered as they squeezed through the same crack by the door. Inside, the smells were even more tantalizing than Jimmy remembered. Rich soy sauce, sizzling scallions, and something sweet and tangy wafted through the air. The kitchen gleamed, and the same two Chinese mice from last year appeared almost instantly. Jimmy froze as the sleek black-furred mice stared them down, their sharp eyes unreadable.
你们叫什么名字？
One of the mice asked in a firm voice. Judith stepped forward. Her paws joined together politely.
你好，新年快乐！我叫朱迪，这位是吉米。
Which means, hello, happy new year. I'm Judith and this is Jimmy. Jimmy's jaw dropped.
You understand then?
The Chinese mice exchanged glances before breaking into wide smiles.
欢迎来到我们的餐厅。
Which means, welcome to our restaurant.
如果你们饿了，我们可以带你们去厨房。
Which means, if you are hungry, we can show you the kitchen. Judith's whiskers twitched with excitement.
谢谢，我们很饿。
Which means, thank you, we are very hungry. The Chinese mice gestured for them to follow, and this time Jimmy did not protest. They were led to a table piled high with delicacies. Steaming baskets of dumplings, bowls of fried rice, glistening noodles, and a tray of sweet and sour chicken wings. The smell was almost overwhelming.
你们喜欢这些食物吗？
Which means, do you like the food? Asked one of the mice, watching as Judith and Jimmy nibbled hesitantly at first.
Oh, it's absolutely fabulous, darling,
Judith exclaimed,
最好吃.
which means the tastiest. Jimmy's initial nervousness melted away as he stuffed his cheeks with a juicy pork and chive dumpling.
Maybe these mice aren't kung fu masters after all,
he mumbled through a mouthful of food. The Chinese mice laughed, pushing sesame seed balls towards them. By the time they left, their little bags were stuffed with enough food for a grand feast. Back under the cafe's floorboards, the other mice gasped at the sight. As the mice gathered to enjoy their feast, Jimmy cornered Judith.
All right, he said. Now, how do you suddenly know Chinese?
Judith smiled slyly.
Well, for the past year, I've been sneaking into the human Mandarin classes at the university.
Jimmy blinked.
You've been going to human night school? Oh, yes. I would sit at the back, hiding behind the bookshelves, and listen to the teacher. Humans are so noisy, so no one ever noticed me. I've been learning Chinese 3 nights a week.
Jimmy's whiskers twitched in disbelief.
All this time, we thought you had a secret boyfriend.
Judith chuckled.
Oh, well, now you know the truth, little mouse. And wasn't it worth it? Look at this feast.
Jimmy nodded impressed. Judith smiled. Happy New Year, Jimmy. Or should I say,
最好吃.
And that was the story of Jimmy's Chinese New Year. The last year of the snake was 2013, so you might very well know a snake, or even be one yourself. People who are born in the year of the snake are often the quiet types. But don't be fooled. They're clever, calm, and have a way of figuring things out without making a big fuss. You may not always know what they're thinking, but when they do speak up, it's usually something funny or smart. The Lunar New Year isn't just celebrated in China, but all over the world, especially Southeast Asia. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a very healthy and prosperous year of the snake. From me, Jana, at storynori.com. See you next time.